everybody. We are going to do a special video today on seeds and harvesting seeds. So it's end of August, we're getting into September, Labor Day is next weekend, and yes, the gardens look overgrown, right? And I'm sure your garden is looking overgrown, and you're gonna refresh it with some mums and some maybe some cold tolerant annuals to kind of brighten things up. But a lot of your perennials, a lot of your native plants are starting to go to seed. So what does that mean, right? A plant has a natural life cycle, and in the world of pollination, the bees pollinate the flowers and happily create seeds. The seeds create more plants, and that's why we harvest seeds. This is a really affordable way to get more plants next spring. And also get involved in seed swaps where, let's say you have plenty of one thing, another gardener has plenty of another, and you can refresh your garden that way by joining seed swaps. So you kind of want to harvest your seeds now and take advantage of the natural life cycle of your plants. So even though they're looking sad and have gone to seed with the dried seed heads, you can harvest a lot of those and conserve them throughout the fall and winter, and then be ready to sow them in the spring. So we're gonna do a walkabout, and we're gonna start harvesting some things today, and then I'll show you kind of how to do this. It's super, super easy. And there's definitely specific techniques for some gardeners. They like to use different approaches, but at the end of the day, you're just looking for drying seeds. So however you do that is the right way. You know, there's no wrong way to do this, guys. It's not that hard. But it's so great when you have a bounty of flower seeds for no money, and you have the opportunity to grow a ton of plants for free. So I have a bowl. I was looking for a basket, but I didn't have anything, and just some scissors, or you can use some light pruning shears. And let's go see what's happening in the garden that we can go collect. Okay, so this is just typical echinacea, and as you can see, they're looking pretty dried out. So I'm gonna clip a couple of these, and so you just want to clip at the base, right into the little org. If you can wait till they're even drier, it's even better. But my worry here is that the birds have really been at this, if you can tell. And that's the beauty of having a biodiverse garden. You're feeding more than just beauty, right? You're feeding plants, you're feeding the bugs, you're feeding the pollinators. So the problem with collecting echinacea seeds is that even having seeds to harvest. So you might collect some of these, and you can wait till the fall till they're completely dried out, which is easier, but you may find just a few seeds left on these. So it's up to you if you want to do this early like I'm doing, and then I'm just going to dry them inside to get my seeds. I also like to leave a lot for the birds through the fall and the winter. So be careful when you're seed harvesting, or you don't take too much. These feed many things when it gets cold. So, all right, so I have some echinacea, and hopefully there's some seeds in there after I'm done drying. And, ooh, let's look here. We've got some black-eyed Susans that are definitely dried out. The liatris is done, but I'm gonna wait. You could either cut this now and dry them inside, or you can wait a little bit. I'm gonna wait a little bit till it's just a little bit drier. But those are good seeds to collect as well. This is an anise hyssop, and these seeds are pretty prolific, and you'll get flowers in year one. So I'm gonna go ahead and you could wait, but I'm not. I'm gonna take a couple of these and dry them inside. So this is woodland columbine, and they're an early summer bloomer, so they will dry up pretty quickly if you let them go to seed, as this has gone to seed. These are nice and dry, and you can either just let these drop their seeds here if I want to get a nice clump going, which that will happen. They will definitely self-sow themselves. So you could do that, or if you want to harvest them for a seed swap, you just snip these off. And there's little black seeds sitting in the little cups there. So you just kind of shake them out, and they're black. And there's quite a few in each one. I'm not going to harvest this right now because I actually already harvested a bunch of them, and like I said, they're very prolific, so I have plenty here, but I did want to let you know that you could do that. They're a wonderful shade bed flower. Phlox that has definitely gone to seed, and I know the birds have been at it, so I'm going to kind of pick the driest patch, and I'm going to clip these. And you can certainly take some of these that are partially dried, and I might do that to dry inside. Some coreopsis, and these are the seed heads. So this is super easy if you just wait till you get some of these, and you just clip them right off and open them up in a Ziploc bag, and they'll all fall out. There's a bunch of them in each one. So here's butterfly weed, and similar to milkweed, these pods you can take off now or wait till they're dried, and there's quite a few seeds in these. So I have cut these off early when they're like this green, and then I dry them inside. And there's quite a few, like I would say easily about 30 seeds per pod. So also, if you want to manage your butterfly weed, definitely deadhead this before they open up and go all over. Similar to butterfly weed, this is swamp milkweed. And, like what I just said, grab these before they go to seed. Well, these have been opened, and my guess is by birds. And see all the seeds in here? So you can collect these, and I think I'm going to because I love swamp milkweed. And that's what these look like when they're dried. So you can dry, you keep them on the plant to dry, or you can bring them inside to dry. But look, birds have been at this, and they've been hungry. So this sea lavender I actually grew from seed. I got the seeds from, I'm forgetting the online shop, but I'm guessing if I harvest some of this, I'm going to be able to get some seeds. The seeds are very, 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 very small, if I recall. So harvesting some of these, I think, should get me a handful. So this Rose of Sharon, I actually started from a cutting. There were some growing wild in the woods, and I took a stem and I let it soak in water and some root enzymes, and eventually it started some roots, and I took care of it all winter, and then in the spring I planted it, and look at that. So this is a plant that you can do through stem cuttings as well as seeds, but I like to wait. So eventually these will be seed pods once the flowers get pollinated and go to seed. So you can harvest these seed pods in the fall. So I'm gonna wait. I've not had good luck that way. I'm just gonna be really honest. But it could be the way that I'm sowing them. I'm not sure. I had better luck with, obviously, a stem cutting. So that is another way to propagate certain plants. But you can try from seeds, see if it works. And if some of you have had good luck with that, please comment below. And if there's any tips on propagating Rose of Sharon by seed, please let us know, because I just love Love, love, love this plant. It's beautiful. It's a rose mallow, and you can collect these dried up seed pods. I do believe there'll be some seeds in there. I wish one was open so I could show you. This one's about to open. Maybe it'll open for me this weekend and I can show you. Beautiful, like a giant hibiscus. So this is my haul. Not bad. And you sort of need to make mental notes of things as you're cutting, unless you want to be more organized. Sometimes I'm a haphazard gardener, and it's okay. So at this point, what you're gonna do is it's drying time. If these aren't totally dry, you'd like to let them sit and really dry out off the plant for about a week. And there's a couple ways to do this. I like to just let them sit on parchment paper, but my house is very, very dry. If you have high humidity, that might not be enough for you. And when it comes to something like sea lavender, where it's super, super delicate and the seeds are going to be super, super small, it might be easier as they dry to put them in a paper bag. And that's another way to go about drying herbs, drying seeds, is taking a paper bag, poking holes in it, and gently putting your plant that you're drying in there. And if you have enough of a stem, you can have the stem kind of sticking out of the paper bag and just wrap it in twine and let it hang somewhere upside down. And the holes in the paper bag will let air circulate. But what's nice about the paper bag approach is it keeps things really dry. Paper is a natural dryer. It absorbs moisture out of the air. For instance, if you work in an office handling a lot of paper, your hands are probably really dry all the time. You always have to use hand cream. That's why. Paper is very drying. So that'll help. And also what paper bags do too is they will lazily collect any seeds that start kind of falling out. And that's something you need to be careful of when you open that bag and harvest everything. But it's a nice way to, like, I don't know, just manage the seeds as they start drying. So I'm not going to be able to show you how to harvest these because these need to sit a week, but I am going to show you, at least I had some phlox that was ready to harvest, and I'm going to show you kind of what to do to kind of gather your seeds when they're ready. This was phlox, and basically, it has been drying for a few weeks, and all I did was kind of just rub my hand, and they just sort of fell out. And you have to know the difference between the seed and the chaff. And if you don't know what the seeds look like as you're harvesting them, just go online. There's plenty of people that are super, super helpful and take lots of photos. So, because sometimes the chaff looks like a seed. And I was very, very surprised, and that this amount of phlox only gave me this many seeds, like 6-ish. Why? Because the birds have been eating it. And you know what? That's okay, because if you are creating a garden that's feeding the local food web, that's really great, and you can feel good about that. So as long as there's some for you and some for them, it's all good. So sometimes it's as easy as just rubbing and flaking things off and harvesting them. And then some people like to dry them off of the dried plant for another week. I usually don't wait that long, and I then put them in Ziploc bags and label them. So this is some coreopsis that I harvested a few weeks ago. So how you dry them isn't a big deal as long as they get dried. and then stored properly. Another way to get them off of the chaff, and sometimes plants like echinacea is very prickly. That's why it's called echinacea. It's Latin for porcupine. And some species are really, really sharp. So what you do is once things are dry, you can put them in a Tupperware container with a lid and shake, 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 and you'll get a seed. I find with echinacea, you might have, I don't know, these seed heads, I'm going to tell you right now, out of these seed heads, I had one seed. So the birds have really been eating this. So you might need a lot of seed heads to get a handful of seeds. But once you get one, if one hasn't been touched, you'll get a lot of seeds out of one seed head. But the birds really have liked these, so I didn't have a lot. But that's another way to get the chaff away from the seeds, is shaking it in like a little plastic container. And then if they're really, really hard to get off, like black-eyed Susans, I guess, are very, very tough. So when you're shaking the seed heads in here, you might want to put a nickel or a quarter or something hard to also help kind of bounce them around and get the seed heads off, the seeds off the seed head. And then what I do after I have dried everything and taken all the seeds off, I'm gonna go over here in my mess of seeds. And there we go. There's summer sweet. This is more butterfly weed. These are spring alliums. Black-eyed Susan. So I have, look, I even have more. So I have a problem. Yeah. And then what I like to do is actually put all of these in the freezer in the fall to cold stratify them and kind of trick them into thinking that they're outside and they're going through a life cycle of freezing, and then in the spring they get the signal when they get taken out that it's time for it to grow. So the other thing you want to do as you're drying is always label what you're doing, because once the stuff dries out, you're not going to know what's what. And when it comes to like stuff from the same species, for instance, milkweed and butterfly weed are from the same family, and so their seed pods look almost identical, especially when they're dried. I mean, you know, a horticulturist will probably be able to tell, but the butterfly weed is a little bit longer and skinnier. But for the rest of us common folk, you need to label this stuff, guys. Trust me, because when I don't, I get into trouble. So whether it's paper bags or what I'm doing here with parchment, you could also use paper towels down below, whatever you're going to do to dry this stuff, just make sure you're labeling it. Well, that's all she wrote. Thanks for joining me on Fridays with Flora today and learning all about seed harvesting. Fall is coming fast and furious, guys, so if you're definitely in an area where you experience a change of seasons, get out there and start seed harvesting now and all throughout this month, because a lot of your seeds are going to start to dry out even on your seed heads. So we'll have a lot to swap and or sow in the spring. And if you are unsure on what plants are easily propagated from seeds, I have my book, sorry, shameless plug here, but my Be Native Flower Power. This is the Midwest version, but I also have one for small gardens and pots called Be Native Flower Pot Power. Both are on Amazon, and here, this is like rose mallow, and I have a 101 on each native plant and propagation tips, so you can see, you can research and figure out like what you have in your garden that is easily propagated from seeds. Some plants aren't, so you kind of need to know what's what. Some will germinate easily, some will flower within the first year, some may not flower until the second or third year after germination. I don't mean to complicate things, it really is very easy, but if you're unsure, my books are really, really helpful. I spent a lot of time on them, and my illustrations are throughout the book, so I'm really, really proud of them. So check out my books and or my author page on Amazon, and to stay up on all the fun that we're going to be doing here now and in the future, hit the subscribe button. Thanks a lot for the support. If you have tips on seeds, collecting them, storing them through the winter, germinating them, please hit the comments below. We have a really great community. Everyone's being really kind and sweet and great with tips and ideas for all my videos. So join the community, be kind, be friendly, be respectful of everybody, but definitely share the tips that you have. Anyway, stay safe, stay well out there. Gardening is great for COVID times. It keeps you active and healthy and mentally happy. So get out there while we still can before the snow comes. Anyway, take care. See you in 2 weeks.